Hey, everybody, it's your hospitality friend, Glenn here. You know what? It's award season. No, I'm not talking about all those folks walking the red carpet. I'm talking about hospitality, the best hotels, the best resorts, the best properties in the entire world, according to U.S. News and World Report. Now, the really cool thing is these folks pick their hotels, but it's not just plucked out of thin air. No, it's based on a comprehensive, transparent methodology that they have that looks at star ratings, aggregate opinions of published travel experts, not me, though, and the overall customer satisfaction expressed in online guest reviews provided by TripAdvisor. So we're going to talk a little bit about the best hotels in the world, what makes them so great, and what you hoteliers out there can do in order to be like them. So let's welcome to the show Mr. Zach Watson, senior editor at U.S. News and World Report for Travel. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Glenn.
I'm excited because I really love the best hotels in the world. I was just at an amazing hotel last week. I was just at an amazing hotel the week before that. I was at an amazing hotel the week before that. One of the questions I always get is, Glenn, what's your favorite hotel? I can never answer it, but thanks to you, Zach, we got an answer. Tell me a little bit about the awards, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So the U.S. News's best hotels rankings kind of take into account, as you had mentioned, three main factors. The first one is the hotel star rating. I always think this is the most interesting factor to talk about.
Mhm.
We look at a variety of sources when we try to determine a hotel star rating because they can vary between, you look at TripAdvisor versus Google versus Expedia. That can vary. So we take a look and we determine kind of what we would look at as the average star rating. That's the first major factor in our rankings. The second one is guest sentiment. So we look at user reviews, things like TripAdvisor, and kind of get the general feel for how the people who are actually staying at these hotels every night, as well as
Mhm.
the people who stay at the hotels recently feel about the hotels, which can change a lot year over year. And the third, and what I think is, kind of the most important factor is the industry awards. So hotels that are recognized repeatedly across the industry by our colleagues, the travel experts who are staying at these hotels, reviewing them and looking at them critically.
Yeah, that is absolutely cool. All right, so let's get into some of the winners that are out there. This is impressive. I may have given it away a little bit behind me, but for the second year in a row, what's the best hotel in the United States of America?
It will be the Aquilina Resort and Residences on the beach,
That
or
is
strictly just the Aquilina Resort and Residences now.
that is pretty amazing. 2 years in a row. It's so hard to strive to get there, but to maintain that consistency is pretty incredible. So, what is it about what they're doing at that property that you think took them over the edge this year again?
Well, the first thing I always say is customer service, customer service, customer service. These are all hotels that do well in the rankings where, the people working there and the staff are willing to go above and beyond to make sure that each stay is memorable. That people really strive to come back to the hotels rather than use them as a home base to explore, surrounding areas. So that's the first thing. With the Alcolina, I think it's interesting to see how the different hotels that do well kind of reflect the locations they're in.
Right.
So this is one that did, I mean, obviously number one in the USA, also number one in our Miami Beach destination. And as you'll see with a lot of the best hotels in Miami and along the coast, it's got this beautiful, I mean, you can see in the picture behind you, the
Yep.
iconic
Step
red
away. Yeah.
umbrellas there. And then this beautiful stretch of sand in front of the hotel that the guests have direct access to, concierge service, the whole 9 yards. And then on top of that, you also have stunning pools, spa service, all the rest.
Right. So absolutely everything. But again, just to go back to what you said and to emphasize it for everyone out there, it is the people. If you don't have the right people on board, it doesn't matter how gorgeous this is or how luxurious it might be, you're not going to be able to get those tops awards. So other top hotels in the United States: Four Seasons Hotel at the Surf Club, Surfside, Florida. Our friends over at the Langham in Chicago, the Peninsula in Chicago, and Montage Laguna Beach. That's pretty incredible. Two Chicago properties. That's a little bit of a surprise for me there, Zach.
Yeah, the Chicago hotels do typically do well. Specifically the Langham and the Peninsula
Yep.
have both, historically done well in the rankings.
I guess they got the advantage because it's so cold there. Nobody actually wants to leave them. So
Absolutely. Well, I love to compare the pools between the hotels because you look at a hotel like the Peninsula, which has a stunning indoor pool with views of the city. So from there, you can kind of, relax in your pool, look out over the Chicago skyline in comparison to all of these Florida and California hotels, which kind of, emphasize the indoor outdoor living a little more. Chicago is definitely much more focused on the indoor. But with that, you get these, incredible restaurants as well as locations. So the best hotels in Chicago are, I think, definitely the Langham is located along the Magnus Mile, which you within walking of all of these world-class restaurants. So that's really what I think stands out. Also, I love the fact that the Langham is kind of like an architectural wonder in and of itself.
Right. Hey, we don't have that much time to talk about what's going on in the entire world, but I want to make sure that we hit the best resorts in the United States as well. Aquilina came in at number 1 for that as well. Montage, Laguna Beach was number 2. Do you have the list in front of you? Maybe you could tell us the last 3 on that.
Yeah. So the last number 3 is Mauna Lanai Honor Resorts Collection. Number 4 is the Four Seasons Resort Orlando at Walt Disney World. That one always does well.
Yep.
And then Rancho Valencia Resort and Spa.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Now, Four Seasons Resort at Orlando, I have been to when it first opened, and they do a really exceptional job up there. Plus, in my opinion only, I think that they understand luxury a lot better than what Disney is able to deliver themselves. So I think they get elevated in that way as well. What's the most exciting part about working on this project for you, Zach? And what do you think hoteliers could learn from what consumers are telling them?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, the most exciting part for me, we start this list in early July is kind of when we start to, look at the new hotel openings, start to collect the actual awards. And it's great to see them come together. There are kind of classics. So you have the Aquilina Resort and Residences, but then there are also always are a few curveballs, hotels that have really climbed up in the rankings, whether that be through a renovation or what have you. So I was excited to see Biarritz Palace Hotel was our number 1 hotel in Europe this year. That hotel just exudes like kind of the classic European luxury feel. With you can get picked up by a Rolls Royce from the train station.
That's cool.
Take you just back to the hotel. So I always think that is super, super interesting. In terms of what I would tell anybody working in the industry, what people are looking for is hotels that really bring in kind of the outside culture and the area that surrounds them and try to reflect that in the hotels themselves. So you have hotels in Europe that really push their history, if you're a historic property, or if it's a newer property, things like bringing in local food or growing the food actually on site. So anything you can do to bring in some of that local culture to the hotel seems to go a long way with the guests, rather than, staying at your cookie cutter property that is the same regardless of whether you're in California, Wisconsin, or Connecticut.
That's absolutely right. And we underscore that all the time here at the No Vacancy podcast. And it's great to see you doing that. Although I got to tell you, Zach, I think you guys made one egregious mistake because the lovely Houseman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse over here has not been nominated. I think we got to change that in 2024. I got a couple of lounge chairs and a tent out there. Surely I should be competing against these guys at the Aquilina.
We're always, open to people submitting hotels to consider going forward.
All right, good answer there, buddy. All right, do me a favor. How could we find all of this? And of course, there'll be a link in the show notes over here for you guys to go right to this list.
So all of the hotels will be available on the U.S. News travel website. So if you just go to usnews.com, I'm sure we'll have something across the banner. Otherwise, usnews.com/travel. We'll have all of our hotels rankings, as well as all of our sub rankings. So things like best pool hotels, best hotels for people traveling with pets, and what I like to call our specialty lists. So all inclusive resorts for adults only. Things that, are hard to specify in a ranking, but we still want to highlight these incredible world-class hotels.
Yeah, be sure to check out the entire list. And thanks so much to you, Zach, because you're going to really get an understanding of what people are thinking. Now, it's impossible to cover all the greatest hotels in the world with simple lists like this, but by utilizing this list for you folks out there, you can really start to understand a little bit better that winning combination that's going to bring success to you as hoteliers and your customers as guests. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Glenn Hausman. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. Like this video, do all that cool stuff like that. Make me happy. Remember, we got to improve the Hausman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse because I'm in the running for next year. See you guys later.